I'm going to take you through the installation process of a version 1.6 Xbox, which is a little bit harder than all the other versions because you have to rebuild the Lpc header. If you guys want to see how this mod chip is installed, stay tuned. Alright, what do you know, what do you do, what do you say, my YouTube viewers? Retro Pro Frank with another installment, and today we have this version 1.6 original Xbox here. It has not been soft modded, so this is at its stock state. You guys can see a reflection of me, so you can just tell that this is its stock state over here. Just want you guys to see that, okay? So nothing interesting there, and when we shut it off, and when we turn it back on, mind the dust all over the place here, guys. This is my laboratory. You can see it's just a pretty stock BIOS there and everything like that. So yeah, so this is just a stock Xbox. We're going to install this Aladdin XT mod chip, and believe it or not, these chips, you know, they're fairly cheap. You can find them on Amazon and eBay for, I don't know, $5-10. And they're really a good mod chip, to be honest. It's a 256K mod chip, which means that it only allows you to flash one bank. There's only one bank on it, so you have to use the smallest BIOS for the original Xbox. You can't, you know, install multiple BIOSes or anything like that. It's just very straightforward, and they come pre-flashed, so you don't even have to have a version of a different BIOS that you want to flash. It comes pre-flashed. It's already on the TSOF on the chip. So yeah, so let's get this guy open. Let's crack her open, and let's install this Aladdin XT Plus on this version 1.6 Xbox. Okay, so I'm going to start taking apart the Xbox. You need a T20 Torx for this. Alright. I already took some of the screws out for the camera. You try to do this as quick and painless as possible, guys. My camera setup isn't that great right now, so you're going to have to bear with me. Okay. Usually there's 6 screws under there. I already took 4 out. And I've repaired this Xbox before, you can tell, because this is actually an upgraded high-speed wire. So the original IDE wire was probably faulty at one point, and that's why I actually changed it out. So we're going to remove this. We're going to remove the power, the mullets, and this hard drive right here. I'm going to let you guys know a little secret here. This Seagate hard drive is actually one of the better hard drives. This can be partitioned to just under 7 or 8 gigs of usable space all on the F, or you can split it on the F or G partition. So these are the ones that I like to keep. I actually got a stack of these. The other older ones, I honestly, when I upgrade, I just throw them out because they're all dying and making noises and clicking and all that kind of deal. So if you end up getting a Seagate hard drive like this, the thin model, see how it's thin? These actually are 10 gigabyte models, so these are the better ones. Okay, it looks like I might have replaced the capacitors at some point here, because that looks like my replacement capacitors, and with this ribbon I can tell that it's been replaced. So I'm just going to remove a couple screws here. Alright. We're going to lift the whole drive out, okay, and then there's 2 connections here. One right here, and one right here. Okay, so we got the whole assembly out, the DVD assembly. Now we're stuck with the motherboard and power supply. You can tell it's a 1.6 because of this gold clock capacitor here. Now, in any other revision besides this one, you want to remove the clock capacitor, and it's normally located around this area here. Okay, so I would normally say to remove the clock capacitor, but if you remove the clock capacitor in a version 1.6A or B, and this is a 1.6A because it's Samsung RAM, that's another way to distinguish between 1.6A and B, is if this was Hynix RAM, it would be a 1.6B, but because this is Samsung RAM, this is a 1.6A revision. So getting back on the topic here, because the gold clock capacitor is right here, you do not remove these. If you remove these on a 1.6 revision A or B, you're going to brick the system. So do not remove the clock capacitor on the 1.6 A or B. Okay, this is easy enough here. We have the power supply connector. And then over here, this is for the power button. 3 and 4 controller port. 1 and 2 controller port. Here's the fan connection here. You want to remove that. Okay, now we got to remove all these screws. And these are T10s. I'm going to try to do this as quick as possible. You guys bear with me. There'll be new content coming out all the time. Okay, just not maybe every week or every couple weeks, but there's always new content. Okay, so once you get the motherboard out, you can move the actual case to the side, and here's the motherboard here. Okay, we're going to move the screws to the side. So the Aladdin +2 mod chip gets installed on the Lpc header, which is actually located right here. Okay, and there's a close-up of it right here. Okay, so we need to tap into this in order to install the mod chip. So the mod chip's going to be installed in a position like this, okay, where you can read it. Okay, so keep that in mind. Okay, now this is flashed with a different BIOS. That's why I wrote that there. But let's keep going here. I'm going to break out the Aladdin mod chip here. Okay, this is a brand new baby. We're going to crack her open. Okay. And this is pretty easy. Like, I mean, if you guys have the basics of soldering, anyone can do this. And you know what? You don't even need software. And right off the bat, your system can play burned media. So, okay, so there's a chip here, and it comes with this. This is the pin header adapter, okay, and we have to alter this. We can't just drop it in like this. So I'm going to show you how we go about altering this before we put it into the LPC port. Okay, so when you look at this pin header here, there's 4 pins that we need to remove, okay? So you can tell that one side is shorter and the other side is longer. So the shorter side actually is the side that goes in the motherboard. So it would be going down this way, okay? You want to keep it right down to the bottom. So in order to remove the pins, okay, you're going to want to take some sort of pliers or something. And the pins that we want to remove on the right side is this one here, okay? So the second one up. And then on the left side, you want to remove the second one up, the third one up, and the last one up. Okay, let's see if I can give you guys a picture of that. Alright, so what I do to remove them is I just get pliers in there like this, and I kind of just manhandle it a little bit. So you can see the pin coming out. Okay, and there's one there. I don't know if you guys can see it. Now we're looking like this. You guys see that there? So there's 2, so you can see it there, and we've got 1 more left, so you got to remove these 4. There are other diagrams on the internet, okay, but there's different installation techniques. So that's the finished product. You want those 4 pins removed. You can see those 2 in the second row, and then on the left side, the one above it, and then at the very top, okay? So you want to be seeing this exact same pin layout here. And there are different types all over the internet. You can find different ways of installation techniques for these Aladdin mod chips, but I found this to be the best. For example, on their website, they show you how to install this in a manner that I think that you only remove 1 pin. Okay, now I don't want to confuse you guys, but by doing so, if this chip is installed and the console is plugged in, even if the console's off, the light on the chip will constantly be on. That would annoy the hell out of me. Okay, like me personally, I think that that's wrong. I think that the light on the chip should only come on when the system's powered on. And then when you power the system off, you know, the light should come off. So that's the way I'm showing you guys how to do this here. Okay, so we're going to flip the board around. And what I like to do is use what's called a Fiberglass Pen. Okay, so this little guy here. And what it does is it roughs up the... it's just a piece of fiberglass on the end there. It actually roughs up the motherboard a bit in order to accept solder a lot easier. So I'm just going to go over the Lpc header a little bit like this. And it's almost like a light sanding. I guess you can think of it like that. So we're just going to go over the Lpc header just a bit, and it just takes the varnish off of the board and makes it a lot easier for us to solder to it. Now be careful when working with this. It will leave little shards of fiberglass around, and you know that could get you a little itchy. So you want to be careful when using it. Just try to keep it clean, okay? And then actually once I go over it with the fiberglass pen, I like to go over it with some isopropyl alcohol just to clean it up a bit. So there's the Lpc header there, and you can see how it's kind of scuffed up a bit. So now I just go over it like this, clean off any extra residue. Okay, and now we're ready to solder in that Opc header. Okay, so now we have the Lpc header here, and we have our pins here. We're just going to place this in the very, very bottom so it looks like this. You want 4 pins showing on top, and you want to be right in the bottom. Okay, guys? If you got to take a screenshot of that, go ahead. You can see the setup there. So at this point, I actually like to take a little piece of masking tape, and this is a nice little trick. Put it down like that, and what that's going to do is actually hold that in. So when you flip it over to solder, where is it now? When you flip it over to solder, you can see the pins sticking through. It will actually hold it down flush to the board. Okay, so you want those pins all the way through like that. Another good little trick I like to use is take a roll of masking tape and put it on the other side of the board, and then like that you can actually keep the board level. At this point, I would like to take some Rosin Flux. Okay, so I just use this generic flux. Okay, it's actually this bottle right here. Okay, I don't know if you can see the name on there, MG Chemicals. Okay, so that's what I use there, and I have it in a squeeze bottle. You just want to apply a tiny bit of flux, just a little bit to each pin. Okay, please use flux. Don't skip this step because you can run into problems. Okay, so now we're going to take our soldering iron, and I hope you guys already had it heated up. And I like to use 60-40 solder. Okay, I'm going to do this in a manner which I think you guys can see. Okay, so we're just going to heat it up. Give it a little bit, and we're going to do this side. Give it a little bit. Okay, now before we go ahead, I just want to push up on this pin header from the bottom to make sure that we assure tight contact. There we go. See how it just moved? And sorry about the camera angle right now, guys, but this is the best I can do. And see how it just got nice and close? Okay. So now, since that's nice and close, we can actually continue here. So camera's a little shaky. Okay, so that one's good. That one's good. That was already good, but we'll do it again. That one's good. Okay, that one's good. That one's good. And that one. Yeah, I just ate that. It's not a bad idea to keep a fan going in the background. Okay, pretty sure I got all those pins. Let's just go over everything again. Now that I have my magnifying glass on and I can see what's going on. Yep, we don't want to go too crazy. Okay, all right, there we go. Okay, so those are all complete. Those are all soldered. Okay, now if it was a version 1.0 to, let's say, version 1.4, you'd be pretty much done at this point. You'd just be able to flip the board over. But because it's a 1.6, we actually have to rebuild the Lpc header. So what does that mean? So what that means is that Xbox, Microsoft, they got wind of people, you know, trying to mod their systems, and they didn't really like the fact that people were modding their systems, so they tried to make it harder for the modders. So they disconnected a bunch of points here. So we're going to have to go back and reconnect all these points, okay? And you can see I'm taking my fiberglass pen and I'm just scraping the grounding point here a little bit. Now I want to clean up all that flux there. So I'm going to take some isopropyl alcohol and some Q-tips, and I just want to clean up this area a bit. Okay. I hope the lighting isn't too bad, guys. Alright, there you go. If you haven't already, please hit the subscribe button, and you can hit the bell notification to be notified of any new uploads. That would really help out the channel, guys. I just recently hit 1,500 subs. That's pretty huge. I want to thank everybody for that. Okay, so we just cleaned that up. Beautiful. Now, this is the part now where normally you would be wiring 30 gauge wire. Okay, so if you're going to do it the old school way, use 30 gauge solid core wire. Please don't use stranded. It's just going to make your job a lot more difficult. But I'm actually going to cheat. I have what's known as these rebuild boards here. So this does the job of all the solder connections here, okay? So I don't have to worry about cutting all these little pieces of wire, okay? I'm going to leave you a diagram right here. Okay, you can see this diagram. So if you take a screenshot of this and you connect the wires exactly as shown here, you'll have no problems, okay? And then this part, you wouldn't be watching this part. But since I have these rebuild boards available, I'm going to use them. Okay, my good friend John actually makes these. And if you guys are looking for these, I can supply them. I can ship them to Canada and the US. Not a problem. Just message me on my Facebook page, Retro Pro Frank, and I can ship one out to you guys if you guys want. Not a problem, okay? So I do have these boards, so I'm going to take one of these boards right now. This is going to make life a lot easier with these chips. Now, these boards are actually replicated from the X3 boards, because the Team Executor back in the day, they actually made these boards to rebuild the 1.6 header back in the day, and they would sell them, you know, you'd be able to buy them with their 2.6 CE and their X3 mod chips. Okay, so this has been replicated, and it was released 2019 by my buddy John, like I said, and it's a one-to-one replication, and it's a lot cleaner than seeing those wires, you know, those wires in the image I just shown. So you can see here that it has the DO here. Okay, so all you got to do is pretty much put this on and just solder where these little points are. You know, you can see that point on the right there, on the top right here. There's one there. They're very tiny. There's another one there, and you can see all the ones in here. So as long as you solder all these, then, you know, then that's it. It's very simple. So this just gets placed onto here like this, and you want to line it up to the via ports, okay? So I'm going to bring this in a little bit closer so you guys can see. Just give me a sec here. Have the camera focus. Okay, you see those two via ports there? You want to make sure that those are lined up. So you might have to push this down a bit. You know, you might have to tape it in. If you want to use tape, you can. But you want those via ports to line up, okay? You can see the via port down there too, okay, where you want to connect it. And then obviously all of these as well. But I'm going to go one step further. Since I have it on this part right here, and I can see where it's lining up with the vias, I'm actually going to just go over it with the fiberglass pen a little bit. And this is going to make it easier for my solder to attach directly to it. Okay, so it shows me exactly, like if I lay it down like this, there we go, just like that. It shows me exactly where it's going to be soldered to. So this part right here, gonna have to give it a little scuff. So we're just gonna go over here, give it a little scuff. Nothing crazy. You don't want to sand through the board. You just want to wake it up a bit. And then right here, scuffed it up. You're just going to want to go over everything again with your isopropyl alcohol just to clean up everything. Okay, because you don't want no fiberglass sitting on the board. So you just clean it up. Very simple. And this little rebuild board saves a lot of time. You can do it old school. You can kick it old school if you want to and use the 30 gauge wire. I've done enough of that where I'm at the point where I'm kind of sick of it. So I just like to reuse these, these rebuild boards. Okay, and you can see it actually looks a lot more professional. Nice and clean. Okay, very easy. You can see how everything lines up there. And because now I like the placement of where it is, you know, you want to check and make sure the placement's good. Just takes a second. And since I have the first one done, now I like the way everything lines up. You can see how that lines up with that lines up with that, and those two line up there. Okay, so now I'm going to continue. And I hope that you guys can see this very well, because it's a little difficult for me to do this while recording. I've been meaning to make this video for a while, but just it's very difficult to be able to work around all the wires and everything. So I'm just going to put just a little bit of flux here. Okay, nothing crazy, just a little bit of flux so everything sticks well. Okay, and now we can move forward. Okay, boom. Alright, so now we need this guy, and that's to there. Perfect. We need this guy. That's to this guy. Perfect. That one's to this guy. Perfect. Okay. This guy's got to be done. Okay. You can tell how much easier this is. I'm just going to turn the board around. I hope you guys can still see it. But I need to get to this side of the board. It's a little rough, so I'm going to try to keep you guys very close. There's this side here. Okay, beautiful. Just like butter. There's that one there. Beautiful. There we go. Alright, now you have the DO here. It's right on top. So I'm going to give it a bit right there. Boom. There's the DO. So the DO is going to go to ground. So we're going to prep a little spot of ground here. Crazy. There we go. Just like that. And I'm pretty sure I got everything except for this guy right there. And he's done. Perfect. See how easy that was? Okay. I think we're done, guys. Oh, okay. So there's one more here. Okay. Which is a little silly, but I understand why. They need the power. So if you look over here, there's no pin going through. Okay, but there's actual attachment on the rebuild board. We're going to just hit that as well. And that brings a certain amount of power to the actual chip. So we need that there. And you can see there, that's how she looks when she's done. Okay, sorry about the glare. Now obviously I'm going to clean this up a little bit, okay, with some isopropyl alcohol. Okay guys, that's her right there. Looking pretty beautiful. Okay, but there's one thing left to do. Okay, some people, the DO here, okay, this DO has to be connected to either the chip or to a ground. Now what the DO does is it's like a switch. It's like a switch between the LPC port or the onboard TSOF. So we don't want it to boot from the onboard TSOF. We want it to boot from this chip. So some guys put it directly to the DO on the chip here. See how it says DO? Okay, but I've heard of people having problems with this, that, you know, it wasn't booting or they had to press long or whatever. So the way I rectify it is I just go from the DO, from that solder pad right there, right to ground, and I've never had a problem. This way this chip is always on and it's always going to be turned on. So in order to do that, I just take my 30 gauge wire. Okay, nothing fancy. You can use whatever, if you got an old IDE cable lying around or whatever. It's just for power. Okay, just try to keep it short. You don't want to go too thick, obviously. Okay, so I just eyeball it out there. Doesn't even matter because it's going to ground anyway. You could just strip the whole piece. So like, I mean, you could just strip a big piece like that and then go back. It's very simple to do. So in this case, that's what I'm going to do. Okay, there's still already flux on there. So I'm just going to give it a bit like that. Okay, and we're stuck on the one end. Give it a bit of a tug. Okay, and then from here, we're just going to go right to the DO. Okay, and I'm going to pull it up like that. And it doesn't matter. Let's say that that was going to touch the cage, the steel cage, which it's not. But if it was, it's no big deal because it wouldn't short anything out because it is a ground. So now, because that bridge is done, we just cut the excess off. And look at that, guys. We just did a rebuild in like record timing here. You can see how clean that looks. Okay, very professional look. Okay, and that's all we did. We just bridged from the DO to the ground. And now we're set up perfect here. Before I start putting everything back together and putting the board in, I'm going to take some isopropyl alcohol and a Q-tip. You guys can even use a toothbrush with isopropyl. Okay, sorry about the wobbly camera here. And I just want to go over all my joints here and just to clean up some of that old flux. Okay, very simple. Sorry about the shaky camera, guys. I keep hitting this stand here. There we go. All right. There we go. So what's next? Okay, so next is we need to flip the board over. Okay, and we need to remove the tape. That should have been removed a long time ago, to be honest. And we're just going to take the board and put it aside for now, okay? Because now we're going to work on the chip, okay? So here's the chip here. Like I said, it's nothing spectacular, but it has turned out to be a very good mod chip. You know, and you can buy it brand new. That's another plus. Let's take a look at some of the stuff on the chip. You can see that's an LED there. We have resistors here, okay? Now this LED is red. You can also change that if you really wanted to. You can make it blue or any color just by desoldering this and soldering on the color that you want. Okay, now this chip could be surface mounted too. You could lay it on the board and solder it in, but I like the pin header, to be honest, like the way that we're doing it. So now this chip needs to know to turn on, okay? So in order to show the chip, okay, when the power gets to you, we want you to turn on. We need to place a small wire from this point here, the BT. See that far left, this one right here, out of these three, it's the far left one. We need to bridge a wire from this BT to this point right here in the corner here, okay? So not the right side, the left side, okay? So we need to put just a little piece of wire from here to there, and this will tell this chip to turn on and to stay on all the time, okay? Because there are different options of holding down the power button or the eject button to make the chip do different things, like power on with it, power on without it. We just want it to power on all the time. So we're going to add that little wire right now. In order to do so, I'm just going to pull out my helping hands. Yep, here it is. You guys gotta have one of these, okay? They're very cheap. They're like, I don't know, $3-4. Gotta love eBay, gotta love China. They make some great products for dirt cheap, okay? So I actually put some heat shrink tubing around the actual clamp part of the helping hands in order to not damage what it's holding, okay? And you can see right there. Alright. So that's what we need to connect. We need to connect the BT to that point there. So we're going to take some flux. I have it in the pen right now. I'm not going to use the big guy. And we're just going to place a little bit of flux there. And the flux is what makes the solder adhere, not adhere, but it makes it a lot easier to work with the solder when you have flux, okay? So flux is very important. If you don't have flux, please don't attempt to do this. I mean, you might be able to get away with it, but I wouldn't recommend it. Okay, so now we're just going to put a little bit of solder on each point here. Just a touch. That's all you need, is just a little tiny bit. Okay. And okay. Just like that. Perfect. Alright, now we're going to take that same 30 gauge wire that we've used, and we just need to make a little bridge. So I'm going to take the 30 gauge wire here. I actually have a bit left over, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to use that. Okay. Take the soldering iron. Okay, we're just going to attach to the BT, just like that. Okay, then from the BT, we're going to route it to the other side. And I don't like it touching the board or anything, so I'm just going to get a screwdriver and kind of bend it into position. Okay. Okay, I just used a little Q-tip underneath so I don't burn my hand. Okay, and there you go. You have it right there. That's what you get. Okay, just a little bridge from there to there. There's other ways of doing it. This is the way I did this one. Okay, and you got this excess here hanging off. We're just going to take some snips and cut her off. There we go, and that's it. So this chip is ready to be installed onto the main board now. Okay, you can see just a little bridge. Okay, you want to leave the shielding, make it look pretty, whatever you want. That's the way I do it, and I'm happy with this way. So now this can go directly onto the motherboard. So let's get the motherboard out and let's attach it back into the case. Let's get her back into the case and screwed down and fastened, okay? Alright guys, there we go. We got the case and we got the motherboard. So the way you need to do it is to put it on an angle like this. Alright, pull these wires up a bit so they're out of the way. Drop her in, give her a little shake, make sure she's in there good, and you just want to reinstall all of the screws to the motherboard. I do this mostly for hobby. I've installed quite a bit of chips, especially with the wire. Now, you know, the wire does work and it works great. It has for years. I've never had an issue with it. But just John made these actual boards here, and it just makes life so much easy. You know, they're not very expensive. If you guys need a couple, you guys can contact me. I do have them. I'm in Canada. I can ship to Canada and the US. Even if you guys wanted a modded Xbox like this with one of these chips installed by me and refurbished, you know, hey, I can do that too. You know, you don't have to be a subscriber, but I hope you guys did hit that subscribe button. Okay, so I can keep making videos like this for you guys. Okay, now they're all in. See how they're all in, but it's loose? Now I'm going to torque her down, okay? The torque is a little bit important because the screw points actually make the ground points touch the bottom shielding, and that's like your ground. So, like, even those points need to be clean. So I normally clean those with the fiberglass pen as well, and it would actually help with a lot of distortion that people see through their video signals. I've noticed a bit of an increase in picture quality by doing that. Okay, so that's all in. So now we're going to hook up controller port 1 and 2. Then we're going to hook up the power button here, power and eject. Okay, and then controller ports 3 and 4. I was actually going to make this video last week, but I ran out of memory on my phone. Okay, so there we go, guys. We got our modified board now with our header adapter, so we can slide the chip on. We already put that solid piece of wire there that will make the chip turn on. Okay. Now you want to make sure when you install this that you install it this way, because if you install it this way, you might fry out everything. So, so make sure you install it this way. Put the chip down on the pin header. Okay, and you want to slide it in. So it's got to look exactly like that. Okay, she looks beautiful. I don't know. There's something about a mod chip. It's just a lot better than soft modding for the PCs out there. I don't know if I'm getting sick. Yeah, something about hard mod I just like. So we're done. This will work, okay, but there'll be no light coming on, okay, because we removed those pins. So you're saying, Frank, now what do I gotta do? This is the thing. This is the part that screws up a lot of people when they see my installs. They're asking me about a wire. So now I install a wire. Now what this wire is, it's the on-off switch for the actual light and for the chip. Well, the chip's going to turn on no matter what, but it's the on-off switch for the light. Now, this is the same in the Executor 3 chip as well. Obviously, the chip's different, but the point where you go on the right leg of the transistor there. Okay, so we're going to take power, 5 volts, from this right leg of the transistor, and we're going to attach it right to this point right here. Okay, so not the right one on the top, the second one in from the right. So we need a wire from there, soldered, to the transistor's right leg in order to get the 5 volts. So now we're attached there. Okay, as you can see, we're on the right leg of the transistor. Okay, guys. Now the wire's a little bit longer than what it should be. It should be a lot shorter, but I just want to show you where I got it soldered to. Okay, so it's just soldered to the top, second one in from the right. Okay, and that wire is a little too long. I'm actually going to fix it off camera and solder to the right transistor leg. Again, this is what makes the light turn on and off on the chip. So when the system is off, when you have the power off, the light is off. When you put the power on, the light will turn on. Okay, so I actually just hooked up the power. Let's see if the light comes on. Okay, I'm going to shut it off real quick because there's no hard drive. But you see how the light's coming on and off? Okay, without this wire, it won't do that because we took those 4 pins out. As long as you follow my instructions in the beginning perfectly, you'll have no issues, and you'll have a properly installed Aladdin XT Plus on a 1.6 Xbox. Alright, so let's get everything back in here. Okay, gotta get the IDE connector hooked up. Alright, the DVD drive's in there. Alright, so now we're going to put the hard drive. We got that awesome Seagate hard drive. Okay, the thin line, the slim line. Okay, actually those are my favorite ones. The Western Digital ones weren't bad, but the Seagate ones, and actually there's 2 models of the Seagate ones. There's the thin ones, and then there's like one with like a rubber protector around it. Those ones too can be formatted for the extra few gigs that you have there. Alright, so let's throw this guy in. Okay. Alright. Okay, now I guess we can put the lid back on. Look at that. Perfect fit. Alright guys, okay, so we got the lid back on this Aladdin XT version 1.6 Xbox, okay. We got the chip in there installed properly with the light is off even though it's plugged in. That's the way it should be, okay. TV's on, everything's hooked up. Now with any luck, when I power this bad boy on the top left corner, as long as this is right and everything was installed properly, in the top left corner we will be greeted with a little shield looking Evo sign. So let's give her 3, 2, 1. It's powering up. Boom. Boom. Look at that. Congratulations. We've just modded, hard modded, chip modded an original Xbox. Has just a normal stock hard drive. We didn't do any soft mods, any baloney, nothing like that. From here, your system can play burnt discs, okay? So, looking back at this, you can see inside that the light is on, okay? We're going to shut it off again, so you can see how the light's off. That's what that wire is all about. So now, this guy can play burnt DVDs. So which kind of burnt DVDs are we going to play? Well, we can play Hexen 17. We can play Hexen 18. And we can play Hexen 19. I'm going to stick with 19. And the reason I'm going to do this is because I want to rebuild the drive. See, right now it's just got that boring, you know, stock, and that's fine. If that's all you guys wanted to do was be able to play burnt discs on your version 1.6, hey, you guys can shut the video off now. Don't forget to subscribe and you'll be done. But if you want to take it a step further, if you can get your hands on Hexen 19, it's actually what I call this is Hexen. I refer it to the operating system for the original Xbox, really. Okay, so I got my 2 copies there. My advanced edition and my Hexen 19. So we're going to take the Hexen 19. It's kind of hard to do with one hand. We're going to throw it in. And now normally an original Xbox will not read a burnt DVD. So that's why the ModChip now is going to enable it to read Hexen 19. So let's power it up. And then we're going to rebuild the drive. So I might set up... actually, I might have to hold it like this just while we're doing this part here. So, you know, it's going to take a few minutes to read. We're going to reflash the BIOS that's on the chip. Now, the BIOS that's on the chip isn't bad, don't get me wrong, but it's very basic, okay? It's missing a lot of features. So, we're going to reflash the BIOS on the chip first. Then I'm going to rebuild the hard drive for a hard modded hard drive. So this is going to take a second to boot into Hexen. You can hear the DVDs booting in. Okay. I just need to get a controller ready. Okay, you can see how it says Linux there now. It reads the disk, and that's what we need. See how the light's going bananas? The Xbox doesn't know what's going on right now. Doesn't know what's hitting it. Retro Pro Frank's hitting it. And boom, there we go. See, reading disk, and this has never been soft modded. See how it says no mod? Okay, this was a stock Xbox. So the first thing we want to do is we want to get rid of that bullshit BIOS that it comes with. Okay, the BIOS it comes with is okay, but it's really old and outdated. So we're gonna go to option 3, TSOFT flash chipped Xbox. Okay, we want to reflash the BIOS on that chip that we just got. So we're going to go to ModChip. Okay, this is just going to give you a warning that if you're running a soft mod, you're going to be screwed. So if you're doing soft mod stuff, you do not want to be picking any of these options, okay? So, and you can find a copy of Hexen somewhere online. Just Google it, you'll find it. Any version will work. Hexen 2017, 18, or 19. I use the newest up-to-date stuff on all my Xboxes. That's why I'm picking this. So now it's asking me, okay, do I want to flash a 256? Now this chip is 256, but it's not a version 1 to 1.5. Definitely not a 512. It is a version 1.6. Okay, 256 BIOS, so that's the one we want. Okay, and it just gives me two options: M8 or M8 Plus F and G, or M8 F only. If you're going to be upgrading the hard drive, and let's say, you only want to do like 500 gigs, or even a 1 terabyte, you can go with F only. But if you're going bigger than that, you want to stick with F and G. Okay, so we're gonna hit A. Now it shows, the matrix. That's the name of the chip, I guess, what it's called. So right now we're going to press Y. It's going to erase the mod chip, the BIOS that's on there, and it's going to reinstall the new BIOS. So now it's erasing, and look at this. Oh, I love this part. Now, if your power gets interrupted right now, your Xbox is done. You would need another mod chip. Now it's going to shut off. Okay. It's going to turn back on, and it's going to have the same symbol in the top left corner. See it? Okay, but this is an updated version of that. Okay, so now it's going to load back into Hexen again. See how it says Linux on the bottom? Boom, look how quick it is now. It reads the disk so much faster now. It's still going to take a couple seconds, but this BIOS is a lot newer. The one that's on this disk is a lot newer than the one that came with the actual mod chip itself. Okay, so we're back in the Hexen now. Okay, I just wanted to reposition so I can use both hands. So we can't really do much with this Xbox except for reburn disks, but let's say we want to install emulators and stuff on this. That's fine, but we're not going to do that with a dashboard like this, just with the Microsoft dashboard, the original dashboard. We can't install, emulators and ROMs and, do backups and all that kind of stuff. So we're going to go to option number 3 here, TSoft chipped Xbox tools. Then we're going to pick disk upgrade. So this is 3.5. We're going to pick that option. And then we're going to go to 353, new disk NTSC box. If you're in a PAL region, you want to select the PAL box. But because we're NTSC, now what this essentially is going to do is remake the whole hard drive for this Xbox from scratch for a hard modded Xbox. Okay, so we're creating a new disk NTSC Xbox. So we're going to select that. Now it's asking me for the code. Okay, so now it's saying use an option to build a new disk for a TSoft chipped Xbox, blah, 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 blah. Partitions will launch to get the most out of our hard drive too. So just bear with me here, guys. Okay, once you've selected your preferred layout and XP Partitioner, press start. Okay, we already know that. Okay, so now it's asking me, right now it's going to redo the whole hard drive. So it's saying you have a new disk. It's treating the hard drive in there as if it's a brand new hard drive. So we're going to press both triggers and start to continue. It's giving me a warning saying that it's erasing everything. It's formatting all the different partitions. Yes, we have an F partition. And I'm really sorry about the camera angle here, guys, but I wanted to... this is the quickest way to do this. Okay, beautiful. So now it's going to transfer some files around. Okay, just transferring some files. This will take about a minute or so. See, and give you time to subscribe. Press the subscribe button. You got a little bit of time of that. And it's funny how it picks up that it's a version 1.6. It says that it's NTSC. So after this, our hard drive is going to be completely set up as a modded Xbox. So you don't even need to put a soft mod at all on this. Now, there are some great soft mods out there. There's the Rocky 5 tool, my boy John. Great job on that. There's the old school methods, but I mean, if you're going to chip the system, Why even put those on? Let's just do it this way, and this is the cleanest, fastest way to do it. Basically just setting up everything right now. It's all automatic. So nice and easy. Now it's going to load into XP Partitioner soon. And what this app does is it actually partitions the hard drive. It allows you to change some of the partitions, because it's not just like a normal computer hard drive. There's, you know, a few different partitions. So now this is XP Partitioner. Automatically it brings you into this, okay? So you can see here, this is our F partition, 4.8. I wish it came with 8, but 4.8 gig. And then you can see over here on the G partition, or sorry, that's the E partition. On the F partition here, you got 2.9 gigs available. Now if we press A, you can see that we can split it between the F and the G partitions, but I don't want to do that. Okay, so we're going to keep it all onto the F. So we're going to press Start, and then Y. You can see the bottom left there. We're going to do it a couple times just to make sure. Okay, and there we go. The hard drive's all set up. We're going to press back twice. Give it a sec, and it's going to go back into the Hexen disk. And when we restart this Xbox, it's going to look totally different. All right. Now we got Unleashed X. Boom. Now we're back into the main menu. There's one more thing I like to do. You can always install your applications from here. There's the EEPROM nulling tool here, XBMC applications. Okay, you can install a RAM tester if you want to upgrade your RAM. Okay, Chimp, everything's here. So we're gonna go to number 10 option just to clean everything up. Now we're gonna go to shutdown. Okay, so now that we rebuilt the drive, okay, when it boots, it's not going to be like a stock Xbox anymore where you see the regular Xbox dashboard. Okay, so we're going to press eject to start it. Okay, wait for it, guys. Check this out. Boom. Didn't have to soft mod, didn't have to worry about memory sticks and adapters and all that baloney. We just put the Aladdin chip, the $5 mod chip in there, the $10 mod chip, whatever it cost, and we have a fully customizable dash here that we could load XBMC, we can launch DVDs, we can just start ripping Xbox games to the hard drive. Now mind you, this is you know, a stock hard drive. You can upgrade the hard drive if you wanted to from here. You know, you can load PC ports, arcade games, Xbox games, application emulators, homebrew games, and all these subfolders here. Okay, I really like this dash. I think it looks pretty cool how it says the chipset and everything here. But to be honest with you guys, we're going to kick it old school. Boom. Okay. And that's it. It's that simple. Install the Aladdin mod chip on a version 1.6, run a version of Hexen, rebuild the hard drive, and you got yourself a beautiful modded Xbox ready to drop in another hard drive or to start loading it up with games and ROMs, and you're all set. I know this video is a little bit longer than usual, guys. It was kind of tough working around the wires and the stand for the camera and everything, so I hope you guys can bear with me on that. Please, guys, for all my hard work and dedication, give me a thumbs up. Just smash that thumbs up button for me, guys. If you guys aren't already subscribed to the channel, please subscribe and take a look at some of my older videos. Those things are still getting a lot of views today, a lot of comments still. And hey, if you guys want one of these modded Xboxes that say that this is a little bit too much for you, I can always ship one out to you guys, refurbished 100%, nice and clean, and new bubble wrap and everything too. And I have full setups available too, 2 terabytes, whatever you guys want. Just contact me through Facebook, Retro Pro Frank. So yeah, guys, if you guys like this video, please smash that subscribe button. Okay, I could really use the support. And yeah, we'll see you on the next upload. This is Retro Pro Frank, and I'm out.